to Cowie. 40, closing, long ball. Got it. What a response.
Surely a goal, Blues. Akers, there's your game.
Kelly brings it back and responds for GWS. Massive goal.
Carlton trying to get busy. Here's Tally again. Cue that song back up.
Hello and welcome to Access All Areas thanks to Crypto.com. No Nat Edwards today, but as always, Matthew Lloyd is here. Lloydie, what did you like most out of finals week one?
Damo, I love after a week off, the players come in fresh, hungry, and the tension in all the games was amazing. But to be there Friday night to watch Carlton do what they did, and when Nick Newman took that final mark and the crowd went absolutely berserk, that was my moment of the finals.
It was huge, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sam Walsh's performance in that game was massive, as was Errol Goulden's in a losing team. I thought what Joe Daniher did too was equally impressive out of anyone on the weekend. But let's start with the biggest winning team out of the weekend, that being the Brisbane Lions' performance over Port Adelaide. They just controlled this match from the outset.
Yeah, it's rare you kick 123 points in a final, but they are the most destructive team in this competition. It's all set there for them to get through to this grand final. A lot of people feeling it'll be a Brisbane Collingwood grand final with the opportunities they've created for themselves, but even there, that tackle pressure. Rayner is explosive best. Daniher kicking his 5 goals. Neil only had a quiet game with 19 disposed, but didn't matter. They destroyed Port through the centre bounce and the clearances, and if they get on top of you through the midfield, this forward line is as good as any forward line you've probably seen, really, there's no weak link in that forward line.
No, there's not. And this man didn't have to do a lot in his 200th game in Charlie Cameron. Kicked the 2 goals. They lit the crowd up. Joe Daniher's 5 goals for the match, 3 in the third quarter when Port was hanging around and threatening to get themselves back into the game. Everything's gone right, Lloydie, hasn't it? For the entirety of the, apart from something they couldn't control, that being the Will Ashcroft injury. But everything else has been close to perfection. Finishing second on the ladder, winning a qualifying final, performing the way they did in that qualifying final.
You're right, Damo. Things are going wrong for teams around them, like Port getting injuries, Melbourne getting injuries, Carlton getting injuries and suspensions, and yet you've got Brisbane sitting pretty.
Yep. 7th season for Chris Fagan, the 5th year in a row now they've either finished top 4 or will get to top 4 regardless. They have an air of confidence about them. Charlie Cameron, just on early in the game on Jason Horne-Francis, just want you to take us through what happened here. Again, little moment in a bigger game, but when you're up and about like this, the mental disintegration is part of it too, isn't it? It
is, and he just was pretty happy with his tackle, and they just had their foot on the throat here. They could see the game was turning and the game was changing. Rayner then bangs through a goal from 60, and they are just on. Horne-Francis had 14 disposals for the night, so I think it justifies getting into a young fella in that game.
We saw what Port did in the home and away season, winning 13 in a row at one stage to set themselves up. But are you now worried?
I'm worried because I think it's been a poor couple of months for them. So, yeah, they were flying, but they've been in a bit of a hole since then. They won a couple of soft games late in the season, but they've been off for a while now.
We'll touch on their opponent, the Giants, later in the show, but just specifically with this matchup now coming. The midfield, it was okay against Brisbane, but nowhere near as good as Brisbane, and the backline's a mess for Port.
It is, and I think apart from Rosie and Butters, there isn't too much that you'd get too excited about with Port Adelaide. So, yeah, they'll go in as favourites, but I think the Giants are playing better footy.
Yep. There's a resilience attached to the Carlton Footy Club, which is now very, very real. Michael Voss told his players, don't worry about your lack of finals experiences. And then in the early stages of this game, they out-Sydneyed through goals from the ground.
Oh, their second quarter was phenomenal. Like they kicked the first 2 goals of the game to settle the nerves, and then this second quarter they just brutalised Sydney, and it was too good for them. They slowed them up. Sydney were too conservative with their ball movement, and they picked a tough side. They picked a side full of competitors. Hayward lost his feet there, Damo, due to the pressure of what Carlton were putting on Sydney in this second quarter.
And Cottrell cashing in on it. Another great game by him, wasn't it? And And again, they've just got layers to what they do. I mean, that player there, Jack Martin's going to be out with a suspension, but Blake Acres, his performance, we'll have a look at a couple of his specific moments. But the selection of the team itself, Lloydie, as they got on that run late in the season, they were forced to do so without access to some of their best players. They're all available now, and that forced them, or allowed them, I should say, to select a team that had Hollands out of it, Dow out of it, Fisher out of it by choice.
Yeah, Matt Kennedy played earlier in the seconds as well, so it just shows what a good space they're in from
and the size size of them too. I mean, they do look like a finals team, a winning finals team.
Yeah, they picked the outside types in terms of runners and just went big body types, and it certainly held them in good stead on Friday night.
Yeah, and one of those outside and those role players, and he's probably more than that right now, is Blake Acres. His impact was again very good across the entire game, but two key moments here by getting a fingertip at best, I mean, on a ball there that saved a Swans goal, and we'll have a look at another one down the other end of the ground in a moment, which was even more crucial if you look at the time and the stage. I mean, that would have put the Swans to within 3 points. In the end, it was the umpire had to send it upstairs, and because he got there, I don't know whether he touched that one or not, but he was there at the end.
Yeah, it's a game of moments and a game of inches, and what I love about Blake Acres is he runs harder than any other player on the wing, and so he gets to those spots to get a fingernail on it because he's run 150 metres to get there. So he was probably the best game I've ever seen him play, and was in a final. I reckon he was only second to Sam Walsh the other night.
Well, let's have a look at Sam Walsh now. And you're talking about running both ways. Focus on that as the crypto bold play of the week, Lloyd. We're just going to pause it here. When you can see the score, you can see the time left, you can see what's at stake. He's tired at this stage. That's him highlighted there, Sam Walsh. But he goes back and covers for his teammates on Logan McDonald.
He's the best runner at Carlton, and this is why you do your pre-seasons. And this is why Michael Voss can trust. And there's Acres. He's back there again. He's ran another 150 metres to be in that play too. So, between Acres and Walsh, they were sensational. I thought Goulden was quiet early. Cottrell did a good job on him. Doherty was out there with him as well, who played a fantastic game. But, I think they're depth players, and the contribution across the board for Carlton got them over the line.
Yep. A bit like what the Swans failed to do against Carlton, Melbourne failed to do against Collingwood. Like the Swans, they could have won. But there was a similarity to the loss, Lord, wasn't it? And it's alarming now as we go into a second week of finals for them, because their forward line, when they lose, just does not function.
No, and it's frustrating. And I'm not even a Melbourne supporter, but it's frustrating when Gawn plays the game of his life. Oliver was phenomenal. Petrarca's second half was off the charts. Sparrow's second half was off the charts, and yet they just want to blast the ball in. And here's Pickett. Just lob that over the top, and you're having an easy shot. They lose the game by a kick and a half, and yet it's so easy to find 2 or 3 other goals. And here's Sparrow here. They had him on the ropes here. They were coming. There's still 7 minutes left on the clock. He's got players to his left, and yet he just goes sideways. So it was really safe. And there's Petrarca also there telling him where he should kick the ball to. So I think it's on Simon Goodwin. This doesn't just happen time and time again through players making poor decisions.
You said they're instructed to do this?
Yeah, they're instructed. It
doesn't make sense because it doesn't work.
They won a premiership with it where they did it, but time moves on and you get worked out. And what their plan is to get it within 15 metres of goal, all press in, pressure, and you'll get them a goal through repeat pressure and stoppages. But it's not working for them because teams just spit the ball out too well now. And Collingwood, we're all over it.
Well, they've now got another problem because Jacob Van Rooyen won't play after being given a 1-week ban for his hit on Dan McStay. We know that Angus Brayshaw was out for other reasons. That's the midfielder, obviously. Their lack of forward options, with Melksham and Petty already out for the season, what do? The Grundy conversation, it comes up every week. Is there reason to consider him? Is there reason to go with Spargo? Is there another left field option?
I think we go back to Joel Smith as a forward because he's got the mobility of a Jake Melksham when they were working at their best. So and Tomlinson comes into defence. So Tomlinson comes in for Van Rooyen. Obviously, and Smith plays back. Smith goes forward, and I think James Jordan will get his chance as the next best midfielder to replace Brayshaw.
Okay. Pies defence, as it has done pretty much the entire year, Lotto, stood up when that match got really hot. Again, have a look at the score, have a look at the bombardment of the ball into the Demons 50, and have a look at who stands up every single time. The captain, you'll see him a lot here. You'll see an Oleg Markov standing up at clear times as well. They just know what to do in desperation and moments.
And they also knew what Melbourne were going to do. So we don't want to take credit away from Collingwood because they're the best defensive side in the comp. They did lose their way to the last month of the season, but they had no Murphy and no Moore. But the courage of them. Here's Markov. You said that's why he got in front of Noble with efforts like that. Here's Murphy. He does that week in and week out.
He does.
And this is one of the plays of the weekend. What Quaynor did late in the game to just go back. he was expecting. He actually said after, I was expecting to be killed or badly hurt, but he didn't.
What would you have done in that situation if you were Bailey Fritsch as a 926 goal kicker over a long period of time and someone who did like to hurt opposition mostly within the rules?
I know that the game has changed and they're so fearful of getting suspended, but he could easily have gone for the mark and hurt Quaynor at the same time. So that wasn't a great moment for Bailey Fritsch.
Yeah, that was the grinding nature of the Collingwood win, but equally, they are explosive when it's on their terms, and they set this match up explosively. First bounce, Cox took on Gawn. Gawn ends up on his backside. They then just work their way through. Bobby Hill was electrifying early on. They've got some special parts to this game.
Yeah, they have, Damo, and often you can tell in the first 3, 4, 5 minutes of a game who's going to win, and Collingwood were the better side. They just had the ball living in their front 50 and they pressured, and then this is where Craig McRae's a fantastic coach because he just ran in waves and they got Lever and May up high. They exposed Michael Hibbert out the back through the speed of Elliott and Bobby Hill. And the big moments, Petrarca had to go lower there. He didn't. And then Collingwood would just surge the ball out, and that's where Bobby Hill went to work early in this game. So, yeah, I think they won the game through strategy early, and also they were harder and tougher. And
just won it with heart late when they just stemmed the flows. Lloyd, we've got similar views on the Braden Maynard incident. Everyone's got a view on it. We both think he should get off. Now, that may be polar opposite to a lot of people, but let's have a look at it and tell our viewers why you think he should get off.
Well, I think it's a break. So he leaves players all the time to go and support the next player. You have to. He left his man, and he's just fully committed to the smother. And he just comes down. He's bracing to protect himself and Brayshaw. So this is a football accident. That's why I believe he should not miss any games.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And again, everyone's got an opinion. A lot of the opinions are different to what you and I've got. It'll play out at the tribunal. It'll probably go through an appeals tribunal. I won't be surprised to see him available for the prelim final. But he's got a big fight on his hands. Given at the moment it's 3+ weeks, which is why it's been sent to the tribunal. With the AFL itself getting involved in that adjudication at match review level. Giants, massive season, massive win against St Kilda in their elimination final.
To be there and watch this live, like they are just scintillating. Like the class midfield group that they've got. They had Ash and Whitfield, who were just huge off half-backs. St Kilda had no answer for them. Sinclair, the pressure just crumbled. So they're tough, but they're also, I think they've got the best running side in the game.
Really?
Yeah, I think they do. And Canelio didn't even play, but this...
Look at this kick from Callaghan here, Lloyd. The way he weights this kick over to Hogan.
Oh, yeah. You would love to be a forward in this side because they just go.
Yep. And look at this kick from Daniel.
Yeah. So they've got it all there, and full credit to Adam Kingsley for how he's been able to get them to gel. And this is just class. Not many players can do that.
He set this one up, didn't he?
He did.
I know Tom Green was probably best on ground, but Josh Kelly set it up.
He had 8 inside 50s, Kelly, in the first half. So when the game was there to be won. And then this is Bedford and Daniels and all these. Yeah, they were huge. So contributors everywhere. Riccardi and Hogan are travelling really well. And Iden, Sam Taylor, they are going so well in defence. So, I don't think they have too many weaknesses at all either. Yeah,
that's the 6th time they've made a final series and won a final. 5 of those are under Leon Cameron's coaching. Captain Toby Green had an interesting take post-match as to what the success of this year's team is all about.
It's probably the least talented side I've played in that's played in finals, and it's probably the side I've got the most trust in to perform. So it's a special group to be a part of at the moment.
Is that just the latest guise of a club in the AFL system which constantly seeks to be the underdog, Lloydie? Or is there more to that statement about being the least talented under Toby's watch?
You use the word trust, and that's what you want in a side. And I think the trust they have in what Adam Kingsley is asking for them is as good as... And that's Leon Cameron would say, I took you to a grand final. But to me, that was a team that is just so invested and has such great belief in what Adam Kingsley is asking for.
Yep. 2 teams are added to your exit lounge. You've been having a look at teams as they depart the competition this year, and we'll start with the Swans on today's show.
Yeah, they start seasons poorly, so they've been chasing their tail all year, and they've done it before in past seasons under John Longmire. So they were 3 wins at round 9, so that's not good enough. So that's point 1. Got to start better next year. Number 2, they're not the tough side they used to be. They used to be a brutal midfield, but they were the 17th ranked clearance side this year, so that's just not going to take you too far. And they've got holes everywhere, so they need a ruckman, so that's why they're in for Brodie Grundy, and they need a key backman. That's why they're in for Ben Mackay. So they can pull that off. they'll challenge again next year.
I think they're up their eyeballs in both those player pursuits. I reckon they look all right, though. I reckon their forward line's got a bit to work with. McLean's game was really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I don't think they got the best out of their younger players like McInerney, Isaac Heaney had his ups and downs. So there's a lot of youth still that didn't perform as well as they'd like.
Do you like them if Grundy was to say yes to them?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think they should be top 4 next year. Yep.
When it's all said and done, the Saints are out, and that's where most people had them even before the finals started. You cannot take away what they did. It was quite extraordinary to think they got to 6th place on the ladder, but there's a lot of holes there.
Yeah, congratulations to Ross Lyon and what he did in his first year with what he has, because their midfield just got shown up by the Giants midfield, so you've got to add class through the trade and the draft, and that's just not Liam Henry. What else can you do?
And you can't just click fingers and fix that either, can you?
No, it takes time. So they need more there. Jack Sinclair go permanent next year as well. Owens and Philippou. So it might just have to be with what you've got from within.
I thought it was a great second year for Owens, a good first year for Philippou. Both weren't at their best in the final, but there's a lot to work with.
Yeah, that's right. So that's where Philippou's like a Bontempelli size. So with another pre-season, they'll look to get him in there. I've heard Ross Lyon talk about that a fair bit. And Owens will graduate from a forward to a midfielder next year. Their ball movement, it's pretty good. It's better than I think Ross Lyon's sides have been in the past, but they lost their way from a forward line midfield cohesion through the middle part of the year, and their skill level and decision-making just wasn't to where the Giants' level is. So that's why you finish 7th or 8th, because you're not quite where the top sides are.
Do you have them similar position next year or even dropping away?
Yeah, I'd potentially have them dropping. Yeah, so sometimes you get the sugar hit with the new coach, but I think, they may drop, and teams who missed out might go past them.
Lloyd, you keep telling us you look like Tom Cruise. I'd imagine you would have had a few proposals, as Hugh McCluggage did on the weekend, of this nature.
Well, it took Hugh McCluggage to get a Marry Me sign in the finals. I used to get it on a weekly basis just in regular home and away footy, Damo, so that's the work he's still got left to go.
I didn't expect you to go down that path, right? But anyway, on a weekly basis.
Thanks, though. Yeah, weekly basis. I kicked 13 in a round 3 game, and they'll come in week in and week out after that.
We might need Nat back next week to straighten us up after that. We will be back next week regardless to wrap up the semi-final action on Access All Areas.